Okay, so I'm doing this recording while it's getting a little bit dark, at sunset. It's about 8:21. I'm going to go ahead and take a run, about a 2 to 2.5 hour run, um, 14 miles at 9 p.m. It's 8:30 now, like I said. And in the course of that run, I'm going to run backwards a few times. So it just kind of, it breaks up the monotony, Instead of you running, just jogging for 14 miles or however many miles that you jog, you can kind of break it up. Now, I used to do side skips. So I would just do like this. Okay, so you see that? You see how it kind of broke up there? You see how I changed the side skip into just a regular forward run? Side skips are kind of dangerous, especially if you start trying to go too fast. Sometimes people, I would try and turn that side skip into kind of like a side sprint, and I would be trying to go as fast as I could, and I would trip and kind of like slide. So those aren't the best ones. Now what I personally do is sometimes if I'm running I will just turn backwards. So I'm going to show you now. So I'm going to side skip, and then I'm going to come back, and then I'm going to turn into a backwards run. So you can actually you can backwards run. You're not going to want to do it on the sidewalk. Usually when I backwards run, I'm looking at like a little driveway. So in like a storefront area, they'll have like a little driveway there, or a little parking lot. That's what I mean. I'll see a parking lot, and I'll turn in there, right? And then I'll just start backwards running for about 30 seconds. I mean, I wouldn't backwards run for more than, like, say, a minute, because you don't know what you're seeing back there. But parking lots, driveways are best because it's a nice smooth pavement, whereas sidewalks have these little dips, these little low parts, up parts, low parts, up parts, and then they also have uneven pavement. So I'm not advocating you backwards run on a sidewalk unless you know what you're doing, which is how I feel. The side skips, I mean, you can always do that. Once again, I'm going to talk to you about stopping, how to stop at a street light without actually stopping. Of course, you can do this. So you can skip from side to side. You're not going to be stopping. Instead of just skipping from side to side, you can move up and you can move back. Or you can do these. Okay, so they work out your hamstrings. So these are things that you can do while you're at a stoplight, which would help you not stop. In my opinion, I advise you to just go the whole run and not stop, not take breaks or any of that. if you do take breaks, like let's say if you're somebody who loves water on your run. I mean, I'm personally not like that at all. I wait until I get back. Um, but let's say you love water, you can just go ahead and take a little backpack and drink water. Just pull it out and drink water. Again, I don't advise stopping. Once you're on the road, once you get used to it, you'll know exactly how to pull out that water and put it back in your backpack without even stopping. I mean, I've had some instances where it's really hot, so sometimes I will take off my shirt and I'll have like a smaller little shirt on underneath. What I'll do with my shirt is I'll tie it like around my leg, around my thigh. Another thing is you can bring a mask. You don't have to. I notice with running, sometimes it is a little bit hard to wear the mask just because I'm trying to breathe so much. I mean, I'm not necessarily so big on water, but I do have to breathe. You know, I do breathe a lot. Sometimes I might practice breathing exercises, so sometimes the mask isn't for me. If I feel like I'm gonna go to the store or something like that, I might just wear it, you know, on my arm or around my or on my wrist, excuse me. And when I get to that store, of course, when you are going to a store, into a store, you do want to stop then. So that's the only time I stop. But I don't advocate going to the store because it's not like, I mean, when you're running, you don't have, a lot of times it's good to have a goal of just running, finishing your miles, and getting home. Not, you know, I want to go up to the corner store to get, you know, a pack of Swisher Sweets or some popsicles and then come back. I mean, that's not very healthy. That's not what I'm advocating at all. Of course, if you are with your child running, then that's different. When I go running with my son, then I know, okay, I don't even consider it real running, honestly, because he's gonna make me eat calories. And this is why. When I run with him about, you know, a couple of miles, just a couple of miles, or maybe I think the total run is like 3.3 miles. So a few miles, a mile and a half up to the store and a mile and a half back to the store. It's usually, back to my home. It's usually hot, so we run up there. I run as fast as I can. He stays, you know, relatively cool because I'm all about going fast. And then we get to the store, we buy what we need, and then I give him a little treat, something to drink, just for, you know, being such a good sport. He's almost 2 years old. And then I run back to the house. But in the course of that, I'm also going to be snacking too. So when we take a little break and the nice air conditioning, I'm going to snack too. And I just really don't like that. I really don't like that because my main goal is to, you know, stay in shape and, you know, figure out different techniques as far as running is concerned. You know, different ways of running, different styles that I work on that will last me all the way until my 50s, 60s, and 70s, you know. And personally, I'm not a big fan of running someplace to get something to eat and then running back. I'm just not a big fan on that. I'm not even a big fan on running to get a soda or anything like that. On the days which I have set up for me to kind of eat whatever I want, then those days are okay for me to eat whatever I want. But that does not mean that on my run I can go up to Sonic's and get like a Sprite or a cherry limeade soda or something like that. No, 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 no. On my main run, I basically block off a certain amount of time where I'm going to run, and that's just all there is to it. I'm not going to do anything else, just run. Run. I'm not going to eat anything. I'm not, running up to the corner store to get some Flamin' Hot Cheetos and, a Sunkist soda. It's just running. That's it. So, that should be everything. I can't think of anything else. I guess I will try to show y'all how to run up hills. As soon as this car comes by, I'll try and show y'all which technique I use to run uphill, and also to run against the wind. So if it's windy out, you're going to want to run a certain way. So I put my arms into it. This is actually a good way to run a very fast speed on a treadmill. This is actually how I learned this technique. Came up with it myself, or I just found it myself, just by running different ways on the treadmill. But if you're gonna run uphill, you're gonna act like you're running in tires. So let's say you are drafted into the Army and they want you to run in this obstacle course, and there's tires on the ground. So you're gonna widen your stride, right? So what I mean by that is this. So that's kind of what you're gonna do. I mean, you're not gonna want to widen it too much, but you'll notice what I'm talking about. Just widen and act like you're running through tires when you're on a hill. Okay, this will help you out with hills. Hills are still going to be a big deal for you. Sometimes when I'm running down a hill, I might raise up my hands like hallelujah, because getting up that hill was kind of hard, especially if I'm wanting to keep my same steady pace and not decrease pace. I'm going to run really hard up the hill, and then by the time I'm running down that hill, sometimes I'll put my arms up, this kind of thing, because I'll be running fast and you can get the nice breeze and everything. So I can't think of too much else. Oh yeah, so I'm also going to tell you about some things that you can do to break up the monotony. Some other things that you can do. So you can do football drills or track drills. Now, if you've been in track before, which I was in when I was younger, you will notice some of these things. So let's try this one. Okay, now I don't really do that one too much, but one I do is this one. Okay, so when I will do that one, I will actually do that one when I see like like a space. If I'm on a sidewalk and then there's like an opening for a car to drive in, say an opening to Walmart, and so there's a break in the sidewalk, for that little space, I'll run over and I'll just do like this. Making sure I'm touching each one of my knees. again, it's just something that you'll do to break up that long, so to keep it kind of spicy and kind of cool while you're running, to keep you focused and into running, so it's not just, you running the whole time and it's boring. Another thing you can do is just play different types of music, different music that you like, that you really feel like it's banging, it's cool, it's popping. Can't think of too much else. Now, when I was younger, I think I may have ran with weights. And I've also heard of people power walking with like these kind of weights that go around your ankle or even your arm. I wouldn't recommend that, especially if you are into long distance running or endurance running, or if you're training for like long distance running. I really wouldn't recommend that. Just focus on running to places that you know. So that's another big one, is that when I see people run, I see them run in like parks. Sometimes these people will run on trails and stuff like that. And honestly, that's not for everybody. I mean, you might find it very comforting to run to your local store, your local grocery store, your local library, places that you know, versus, just running in a park with nature, or running on some kind of hike, some kind of trail, some kind of hike trail and stuff like that. I really don't like that. I really just prefer running in an area where I've known it. Now, don't get me wrong, it's not like I would get to another area, some new place, or move to a different city, and it's like I wouldn't know how to run because I'm not familiar with it. No, that's not the case. Honestly, I advocate running every day. So if you should happen to take a vacation, Google Maps is your friend, okay? You're just going to want to look and see some of these fast food places, or just places. You can always do something like maybe a Walgreens nearby. Put that in Google and see what comes up. See how close this Walgreens is. If it says 1.2 miles, well, you can go ahead and run to that Walgreens and back to your hotel. And you know what you've knocked out? You've knocked out 2.4 miles running. And I'm sure it's only going to take you probably about 30 minutes. I mean, it'll take me, sometimes it can take me, depending on how I feel, anywhere from 8 to 15 minutes to run a mile. So it's really not a bad thing. For me, it's relatively easy. I can't think of anything else. I don't know if you guys can even see me just behind the fact that it is getting darker. But like I said, just run all the time. Don't let anything stop you from running. When you are running, especially if you start running at night, the only thing you really have to worry about, and this is if you don't live in an area with, different sorts of wildlife, the only thing you just really have to worry about is the type of route that you choose. I used to run this route that was around Stone Oak, but every time on the way back home, I would have to run this long stretch of street which didn't have any sidewalks. So I would be running near the curb, and there would be cars that would be coming so close to me that I had to stop running that route. But that's also another thing. Choose like a plethora of routes so that you don't ever get bored, so that, just in case they start doing road work or city work on the road. You don't have to feel like, oh, well, I don't know where to run. You know, just choose a plethora of different routes that work for you, so that you can run those routes whenever you feel like. But I can't stress it enough. Do not stop. You're going to build up your endurance. You're going to build up your stamina. But the most important thing is you're going to condition your body to not need to stop. So that it won't be like, well, if I stop here for, you know, a minute or 30 seconds, I'm going to have to, you know, walk the rest of the way because, you know, I just can't do it. I don't even feel like running anymore. Don't do that. Don't do that at all. Condition your body to not stop at all. Okay, so that's what I got to say today. I'm going to try and get back into yoga so I can maybe do some yoga videos for y'all. But that's all I got to say for right now.